Hello, I'm Amari Jones. Welcome to Caffeine TV, your daily video news brief, here to take you through 3 headline numbers in just 3 minutes, giving you a different take on everything from housing policy to the Real Housewives. The first number up today is 11, as in the number of gunshots fired by Officer Darren Wilson before the final gunshot to the head, killing Michael Brown. Wilson gave the gruesome details of Michael Brown's death in his first television interview with George Stephanopoulos yesterday. And what was so chilling about the Wilson interview is that throughout he showed hashtag no remorse, no regret about anything that happened that day. And what's so strange about that is that any night of the week you can tune into the History Channel, all war all the time, and watch 50-year-old veterans who 50 years after they killed someone in battle weep at the memory of doing so, even though that person was armed and trying to kill them. And that's because sadness at causing the loss of life of another human being is a natural human reaction, unless you're a sociopath. But perhaps there's a scientific reason for Wilson's stony-faced interview. Earlier this month, a scientific paper was published entitled "A Superhumanization Bias of Whites' Perception of Blacks," which argues that whites view blacks as supernatural beings with things like Herculean strength and magical abilities, like the ability to read other people's minds and to be impervious to strength. And isn't that what Wilson has argued all along, that Brown was, quote, a demon, close quote, and said that that 18-year-old teenager was, quote, Hulk Hogan, close quote? Well, it appears that one of the reasons why Wilson ended up gunning down Brown that day is because he didn't view him as another human being. The next number up today is 1,500, as in the number of additional National Guard troops called out by Missouri Governor Nixon after he was accused by Ferguson's mayor of allowing that city to fend for itself 2 nights ago. Apparently, the original 700 troops called out by Nixon were stationed at other places in St. Louis County while Ferguson was put to the torch. And Democracy Now!'s Amy Goodman asked Al Sharpton about this at the Michael Brown family press conference yesterday, whether or not authorities there had allowed Ferguson to, quote, burn, close quote. Even though Sharpton didn't answer, everyone else in the audience shouted yes. And if that's the case, it's as we spoke about yesterday, that authorities there all along have been preparing for violence and perhaps even helped to incite it with inflammatory remarks like those given by the St. Louis County prosecutor Robert McCulloch in delivering the grand jury announcement. But the good news is that last night Ferguson was a lot calmer, but let's just hope that authorities continue to do things that allow that calm to hold. The next number up today is 56, as in $56 billion. Now that's the amount that Americans will spend over the weekend of Black Friday. But in response to the Darren Wilson announcement, there are growing calls for a boycott of Black Friday. It's being led by an organization called Blackout, which was started by Ryan Coogler, who directed the award-winning movie Fruitvale Station about the death of Oscar Grant. And Blackout is an organization of artists concerned about human rights. And there's actually, surprisingly, a really good article about them in Forbes, the business magazine. That's change I can believe in. And speaking of change, they created a hashtag, not one dime, to call for consumers to hit the American political and economic system right where it hurts, which is in the pocketbook. Now, boycotts have a mixed history of success, but in a week in which people feel powerless, this gives people the opportunity to channel that frustration into something that's positive. And that's good news, because y'all couldn't afford those gifts that they were trying to get you to buy anyway.